What's up, everybody? You're listening to episode 29 of Just Breathing with Laud Lungs. Thank you for joining us. I'm back with my wife, Brittany, for another episode of Just Breathing with Laud Lungs. Always remember, we have Just Breathing home editions that usually come out on Mondays. So check those out if you want to check out a more topical-based podcast that talks about family stuff, marriage, parenting, all that good stuff. This is Just Breathing with Laud Lungs, so we're just gonna kind of wing it, and that's how I like to do conversations. I like to just find out what people are thinking, what's going on in the world, what's going on, and whatever. I don't care. This is an open conversation, so hope you enjoy it. And yeah. So what's up, Brittany Letterman?
Nothing much. Just tired like normal.
Yeah.
But enjoying the weather.
Yeah. I mean, that'll tire you out, though, because you were outside like all day today
I
with
was
the
outside
kids.
Pretty much all day.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's amazing the differences, and it just blows my mind because each of our kids look different.
Mm-hmm.
We're not like that family. You know how like there's some families that all their kids look the same?
Yeah.
Like you have friends and all their kids look the same. Even like the girls look like the boys.
That's just because
like,
we're not as... I feel like if people looked at our kids, they'd be like, oh, they're definitely all siblings. Like they would... I think they would.
Our kids are distinctly different, though.
No. I have heard people say that about our kids.
Really?
Yeah. So it's just because we know them so well, we think they look different. But other people look at us and they're like...
Yeah.
Now, I feel like they look pretty different than us. So...
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. I think it's just very... I mean, Brahm looks a lot like you.
Yeah, I've heard people say that.
So, I mean, that one makes sense.
Yeah.
The other two, Elijah maybe looks like me.
He looks like you when you were little.
Yeah. Yeah. Addie, we don't know where she came from. We have no idea. We
said that when she was born. Too.
Yeah. What is this?
She's so beautiful, though. She's the most beautiful one.
But it's so interesting, too, because of their complexion differences as well. Like, Addison is blonde, so she's also very fair-skinned.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she loves being out in the sun, and she does okay.
Yeah.
You know, being out there. But, like, Brahm, our oldest, he's completely tan right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was just out there for, like, a couple of days.
Right.
Out there in the sun.
The same amount as Addie.
The same amount as our other kids, and he's tan all over. I'm like, where do you come from? Because, like, yeah, I mean, I'm not out there a lot,
right?
But, you know, to mow the lawn or something like that, like, I barely get tan.
Yeah.
I get tan at, like, the beach.
Right.
And I have to be super careful because I will burn.
Right.
If I try too hard. But he can just
he just
do
gets
it.
Tan.
He just...
Yeah.
I don't know where that comes from.
And by the end of summer, he looks like he's from like Africa or something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, it's like, did you vacation in Africa all summer? No?
Nope, just went to the beach. Ocean City. Yeah, it's so strange how DNA works.
Mm-hmm.
That always is so mind-blowing to me because like we have more sophisticated renderings of our, you know, our heritage and like our ancestry and all of that type of stuff. We have so many tests to show us like, you know, what parts of the world our ancestors came from and all this type of stuff. But it's still so fascinating how that gets passed down from generation to generation. Like how certain traits, how certain complexions, how certain fears.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to something the other day and like someone was talking about the fact that it's like a studied fact how parents in both like animal and human situations will pass on certain fears to their children.
But that's learned though?
Not always though, because like for example, like a baby will see a picture of a spider and just be afraid of it without ever have interacted with a spider. How does the baby know that it's scary?
That's interesting. But only if the parents are scared of it?
But if the parents are scared of it. Isn't that super interesting?
How do they know that? Like with the brain, like they're doing like a brain scan or
Well, no,
something?
like they'll show a baby a picture and it'll be scared of this spider, but it's had no interactions, especially no negative interactions with the spider, but has this
that is weird,
crazy fear to that animal.
Right.
It's
pretty crazy. But I can believe
and
it.
they've done this test on, I think it was I mean, they usually just test rats, so I'm guessing it was on rats. But it was like they would release a smell that was appealing to the rat, which would attract the rat, and then when it would come over, it would get a shock.
Okay.
So every time it learned whenever it smelled this thing to recoil.
Okay.
But what was so fascinating about the study was that after it had babies, the babies, when the smell was released, would recoil away without ever being shocked.
That's pretty amazing.
So something passed down neurologically and combined with their actual DNA. Isn't that fascinating?
Okay, so that's fascinating, and I can believe that, but you're kind of like, oh crap, like I didn't have it all together when I had my kids. They're gonna be a mess.
Yeah.
like oh my goodness.
But that's the thing though. Like I don't know how much of that stuff actually gets passed down.
Yeah.
But I see studies like that and I'm just like, I don't know.
Right. Well, you see, like I didn't know that. I didn't know the fears, but like genetic predispositions will be passed down. It doesn't mean that like they're gonna, have
like alcoholism.
That. Right. Like it doesn't mean they're gonna have that, but it means like it might be a little bit easier for them. So like prepare them, like give them the tools to not fall into that.
But what does alcoholism or just some other I'm trying to think of another example that I know there are many other examples of things that were done during pregnancy that affects, the life of the child afterwards, drugs or different things like that. What is that though? Is it a chemical reaction that is affecting the child? Especially like with alcoholism.
Yeah.
How you just have this, what do they call it? Not a dependency. What's the right word? Where they have
is it
affinity or something like that?
Is it predisposition? Isn't that what it is? Or
it could be.
I think there's another
predisposed to.
There's another word I think, but I can't
find
what
it
is.
But to alcoholism because of the alcoholism that existed in their family.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting to me. Like, what is the transfer? Is it chemical? Is it neurological? Is it all just genetics and DNA? But what transmits the information to the DNA?
Yeah.
And that attaches to it.
Right.
To be transferred to a new life.
I would love to know that. That would be really
I'm sure a lot of people would like to know that. I don't know how deep they are into all of this, studying this and really digging this out. But I don't know. I was just thinking about that the other day and like, it's just so fascinating.
Well, it is fascinating because you think, now I hate how like you learn stuff and then like you forget it. But I know I did this one like class, I guess you could call it, on how like your brain affects like your physical body, right? But just that in itself, it was amazing because you literally can make yourself sick or healthy upon your brain. And like when I say brain, I mean like your thoughts and your habits.
Yeah.
So like, if you're full of fear and anxiety, it makes
you can make yourself sick.
Yeah, it can make things in your body happen that will make you sick or more sick. Mm-hmm. So if you already are sick, maybe not because of being fearful or anxiety, but if you actually already are sick and you don't like go into the anxiety and you have the best mindset you could have, you can get better. Doesn't guarantee it, but you can get a lot better faster than someone who doesn't.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow. So you really like, you have a lot of power in your mind. And so, yeah, I can see how that affects your chemistry and how it can maybe affect, your children.
But there are definitely people that can make themselves sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just through their mind. They can believe, and then they can neurologically affect their chemical makeup to produce maybe not exactly the sickness that they think they have, or projecting that they have, or lying about that they have, but they could, through their belief, actually create symptoms.
Yeah.
Which is just so wild. So wild. And I'm thinking, while you were talking too, of like nursing homes. Like that was the saddest thing to me during the whole pandemic, especially at the beginning when they weren't allowing visitations.
Yeah.
Because like that's how these people survive, especially the older ones.
Yeah.
You know, the older ones are just ones that are going through more serious struggles that aren't just there for living, you know, but are there for treatment, or are there for life-threatening situations. If they don't have family, if they don't have friends that can interact with them, instead of just like a nurse that's like, you know, triple masked and in a hazmat suit, and like that's not a person anymore. And they need that physical interaction to have hope, and to, I mean, it's so much of, you hear it all the time when someone's in the hospital, someone has cancer, and they're like, man, they're a fighter.
Yeah.
And you're like, that person has so much more of a chance to win.
Yes.
Than a person who's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope I get through this.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be rough.
It's going to be,
It's going to be rough. It's crazy though. It's just fascinating.
That makes me want to listen to that Dr. Caroline Leaf. Is that her name?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I haven't listened to her in so long.
I know. I need to start listening to her again, because she's brilliant, and she has so much interesting things to say, but she talks a lot about this stuff, and just how powerful like your mind is. What was the one thing she said that I did remember still? She was like, you know, like even the thought of thinking that like you'll get dementia at some point, like even that negative thought that you like worry about that or think about that, like that will make it closer to getting it.
Wow.
And I don't like, that's why I have to listen to her again to understand all of it. But like, it's just these patterns in your brain that cause all these like neurological and chemical reactions that will result in toxic things.
Yeah. Just like the same toxic that people talk about with like gut health, and people talk about like they're constantly doing toxin flushes and what do they call those, like juice diets and all.
Oh yeah,
I don't know, all the stuff to try and like
get stuff out,
make you move.
But it's all connected. It's all connected. So
well, and that's what I'm saying. And that's what's so fascinating about it, because we know some of the physical manifestations that occur when certain life choices are made, and then it's passed on to a child. It's I don't know. I think it's understandable because of seeing that, that you would have this DNA that passes on neurological things, that passes on, you know, chemical things to your child as well.
Yeah.
And I guess the chemical would be more in the physical realm, but like, it's not out of the question that something like fear of something would, because especially if you believe in evolution or adaptation or whatever you want to call it, we have evolved to survive the wild. I mean, everything that you see in a modern first world country is just the processes of humans trying something and getting better at it.
Yeah, yeah.
And like passing that on and saying, here's the new way that you're going to stay safe in this world. Some would argue that we've gotten too safe. And that's why we're crazy people right now. Yeah. But it's just so interesting that I've never really looked into it. Like, I've never spoken to any doctors about this. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of people that are super interested
Well,
in this field.
I mean, I don't know because I haven't looked into it that much, but I definitely am going to start listening to that lady again.
Yeah.
But I wonder if part of that is because, like, we do. I feel like this is a touchy subject, but
why?
Like medicines,
Oh,
like
yeah.
are all the
Big pharma.
pharmaceutical like companies, like it. We don't really want to dig too deep in like you taking control of your health. You know, like, not that, like, I'm not putting down medications at all because I know that they're needed sometimes and sometimes they're like crucial to survive.
Yeah.
But I think we overuse them.
Oh, of course.
And I think that we could definitely learn like healthier and holistic ways to like get people better and it be long lasting and less chemicals in your body. But
it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
So they're not gonna research that. Like how your mind and how you can change your body through your mind when
has your doctor ever talked to you about vitamins?
Actually, I did have a good doctor that did.
Okay.
He didn't want to prescribe me medicine. He was like, you need to try these vitamins first.
You were in like
no, this was a normal
family doctor, right?
No, this was
long time.
This was a regular doctor, but he doesn't work there anymore, so I don't know why that is. But
yeah. I'm not saying he was bad. What I'm saying is that's not the norm.
No, I'm not saying he's
just
bad
in my
either.
regular, go through the hospital medical system.
Yeah. No, I would prefer them do that.
Yeah.
I would prefer them do that.
I've always been offered. I mean, I really believe a lot of the issues that I have that developed into celiac disease probably stem not only from working at Wawa and eating hoagies and breaded chicken for 8.5 years.
And bagels every morning.
But like, I think a lot of it is just the amount of antibiotics that I was prescribed. Because I had not chronic, but I had sinus infections every year.
Yeah.
It was a seasonal thing, and I would always get sinus infections.
Yeah.
And I was always getting antibiotics. And sometimes I would get finished with one set of antibiotics and then still be struggling with a new strain or whatever it was of another sinus infection, be given a different antibiotic because I couldn't take that same one.
Yeah.
So now I'm taking 2 antibiotics that are just wreaking havoc on my gut.
Well, that's something that I thought was interesting now that we figured out what was going on with you. But like, it was the first time I had like learned more about antibiotics and how bad they are. Like, not okay. So once again, antibiotics are super. I'm like so glad we have them.
They're revolutionary
because they can save lives.
Of course.
But at the same time, like you really don't want to use them unless it's saving your life.
Yes.
And like that sounds drastic, but it's kind of true. But we don't talk about that. Like, why did I not know that? Like, I'm always like, antibiotics, whatever.
Right.
Like, take them. Like,
yeah.
I'm so glad I know now because now I definitely don't want to give it to my kids unless they really need it.
Yeah.
Because it totally destroys like everything good in your gut that helps you like digest and be like a healthy person. And you don't get that back for so long.
Yeah.
Like you don't get back your regular like healthy gut for a long time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean,
well, there is a reason, and I don't see a lot of doctors, mostly because they're not being taught this. I know from doctors that have gone through medical school saying this to me, like they're not taught vitamins.
Right.
They're not taught, and I'm not all about vitamins or anything like that, but I think it's a necessary aspect of our life. And we saw even through the COVID-19 pandemic that vitamin D deficiencies were rampant through the people that were affected most by the virus. And it's not something that's when you go to your family doctor, they prescribe you, hey, your vitamin D levels are low.
Yeah.
You really need to take that. Or you come from a certain demographic group that struggle with vitamin D deficiency. Here, I'm just going to preventative. It's not bad for you unless you take massive amounts of it. But you have to take like massive amounts of it. So why not just get ahead of the game and hope this helps you out?
Yeah.
Yeah. You hope there's not nefarious too nefarious things going on the ground levels.
I don't think there is, right?
With your family doctors. There most certainly is with prescriptions, with, people talk about big pharma all the time and they get real conspiratorial on all that stuff. But you don't have to look that far to know that it's a business.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason, like, I am not against vaccines whatsoever. Our kids are vaccinated. I'm not giving them the COVID-19 vaccine because there's no scientific evidence that they need the COVID-19 vaccine, and they're under 6. So that's where I stand with children. But with vaccines, and especially this COVID-19 vaccine, we know the numbers that it's close to, I'm sure it's probably getting close to about $4 billion.
Oh, wow.
$4 billion were made on the distribution of
I thought you were going to say something. Yeah.
No. $4 billion were made
wow.
on the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine. Anyone to say that this is charity would be lying.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that also bothered me, if anything bothered me about our medical professionals through this whole thing, is the fact that vitamins like vitamin D, it took them till 2021. It took them a year to ever mention vitamin D, even though we knew of these deficiencies at the very beginning of the pandemic.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And also obesity. 74 to 78% of all hospitalizations with COVID-19 were due to obesity, but we were too afraid to say, hey guys, in love, let's work to try and get healthy.
Yeah.
But health, you can't say that now because that's fat shaming. Yeah. I mean, even in the word, like, so you're saying that person is fat. So the only loving thing that could be done is to help make them healthy.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a weird thing that people have to navigate now, where you can't call someone fat because that's fat shaming. Well, what if you just call them unhealthy? And you can, what if you just show them statistics that, like, if you don't get out of this BMI category, you're at more risk of being hospitalized because of COVID-19.
But not, I mean, anything really, though.
But what was scary to me...
If you're unhealthy, you're unhealthy.
Yeah, what was scary to me, though, was the lack of communication about this. And there was just so many people, and I have friends that were just clamoring to get the vaccine so that they didn't have to change their lifestyles. They just could be safe and continue going about their business, not worrying about what they were eating, not worrying about vitamins, not worrying about their weight. They were just ready to get that vaccine and go. And Big Pharma's like,
yeah.
$4 billion. Here we go. And that's like numbers that I read like a while back. I have no idea what the numbers are now or what the combined total is. I think that was only one organization. I think that was Pfizer.
Oh, wow.
And there's Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and then there's some international companies. It's big business. It's big business. And like, for us to just kind of sit there and be like, no, they really care about me. As like, you go to your parents' house or your grandparents' house and look at like the line of medications that they all have to take.
Yeah.
It's out of hand.
Yeah.
Our bodies were not designed to take in 15 different medications that all have side effects that counteract the side effects of the other one, that counteract the side effects of the first pill you took. We're not designed that way.
Yeah.
And I don't see a lot of people looking into celiac disease, looking into why there's this huge influx of new gluten allergic people.
Yeah.
That's not celiac. That's just people with gluten intolerancy.
Well, it is funny. I guess as soon as you move away from just being truthful, that's where the mess happens, because, there's so much involved, because, if you're not telling people, if you're not like actually concerned about people and you're not telling them that like the way their life is or their lifestyle is unhealthy, then you have to build upon that. And, and then there's like all the greed that's involved, but Yeah, just a mess. It's just a mess.
Right. And like everything else that we've talked about on this podcast, it all has to happen on like an individual basis. I wish that these medical professionals would lead the charge because they have, 5 years of education on me in researching this stuff and trying to find ways to, heal my gut and to help prevent my children from developing the same things that I have.
Well, so what I find is interesting is how, so like when I was younger, even though my parents are pretty like, they're like health nuts, and I have some people in my family who are like really like holistic.
Yeah.
But even as a young child, and probably it's just because I was ignorant and prideful, but I was always like what's up with all this like just take some medicine. I was like, what is the big deal? But okay, so here's the interesting part though. I feel like it's the people who are healthy and like a medicine just helps them.
Yeah.
They're not concerned about finding out like anymore. They're like, this works, whatever. Doesn't matter. But it's the people who actually have like health problems that just keep going and they still don't feel well that dig deeper. And then those are the people that are usually like looking for the holistic. They're looking outside of the box because what they've been given, because they have to, because what they've been giving isn't like working.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like necessarily the fault of like the doctor, because that's what they are taught and that's what they learn. And they have to continue to education, and their education continues to tell them not the things outside of the box.
Right.
So, but I just think that's interesting how it's the people who really need some help, that are like, a little bit more holistic and looking at all these weirder stuff because they're just like, what will work? What will help me?
Yeah.
I want to feel good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just find that interesting.
It is interesting.
I also find it interesting how like I feel like we should start to care more about our food, that like it has no nutrients in it, and that more and more people have like gluten allergies and peanut allergies and like all these allergies. We never had these before. Like people like can't even be in a room with peanuts now.
Right.
Like, and nothing wrong against them. Like they can't help it. That's awful. But like, I'm like, there's something not right here.
Yeah.
Like
it's weird too because of how recent it is. Like we're really seeing it and are really concerned about it because it literally happened in our lifetime.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it wasn't like a thing that was around but our parents ignored.
Right.
Like it literally developed. Like I went to high school and I ate I don't like peanut butter sandwiches because I ate peanut butter sandwiches every day almost during my high school time.
Mm-hmm.
So like it wasn't a thing whatsoever.
Right.
But from my time in high school till when my kids were going to daycare.
Yeah.
Now they can't even bring like a granola bar with peanut butter.
Right. Because if kid is allergic and gets a whiff of that, could have a reaction.
Yeah. And I guess it was before our kids that I had first kind of heard about this. I think I was on a plane to Arizona and they were passing out snacks. And like planes are known for
peanuts. Even
bags
when
of
we got
peanuts.
married, when we went on a plane after that.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to have peanuts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we weren't allowed to have peanuts. And was it on that flight or was it on the other one that I was on to Arizona that...
No, yeah, it was the Arizona
one
mm-hmm.
where there was like a person in front of me that like turned around and was like, hello, I have a peanut allergy. Could you not eat those?
Yeah.
And I'm like, the whole time?
Yeah.
Like, but
stinks.
She was one where if the air moved right and went towards her throat could close up.
That's awful.
It is awful. It's crazy though.
And
like what is causing this?
Well, it's got to be it's got to be the genetic modified food, right?
Right.
That's got to be what's causing like the change in the food. And
is it genetically, so going back to the beginning of our conversation, is it genetically modifying our DNA? Or is it just physical representations through the symptoms that we're experiencing through our personal diets? Like, is this going to have an effect? Because like celiac disease is partially genetic.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I have to have at least one parent that had that gene that gave it to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta find out who it was. I'm just kidding.
That's awful.
Just kidding. But yeah, I don't know if
that's a really good point. I didn't think about that. But even still, even if it is changing our DNA, like worst case scenario here, it's still, we probably should stop the genetically modified food. Just stop doing that. And like, I say that because now
that seems like something that's preventable.
Yeah.
Alcoholism is a weird one that I don't understand. Like, I know it exists and I completely believe it because you can see it.
Right.
Over and over again, but like something is, it's not easy whatsoever. I mean, we're experiencing that right now. I'm trying to change up my diet and trying to, figure out new ways to repair my gut so that hopefully I can get kind of back on top health wise. But, so it's not easy, but there are paths to take at least.
Yeah.
Like alcoholism, it's like you probably should just avoid alcohol.
Yeah.
And there's like not much you can do. You are predisposed to that.
Right.
So just avoid it.
Yeah.
Me, even just not eating gluten, which, aggravates the small intestine, which gives me the reactions for the celiac disease. Like, it's not enough. Like, I actually have to be actively repairing my gut while avoiding things.
Yes.
So, I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
It's all interesting.
It is.
And again, it probably will just take more people on the internet, blogs, and forums and all of these places. It's difficult when you don't have that large medical backing.
Yeah.
Where you don't have WebMD
right
really looking into this stuff and providing people with like a synopsis of, these are usually the symptoms associated with this. Here are some of the treatments. Here are some of the products that you could look into. It's so nice for that.
Yeah.
But there's not really any information on some of the more holistic stuff that you're talking about, or more vitamins.
There's not like research evidence. There's just like
I don't even care about the research evidence.
Maybe the doctor's evidence.
I'm a layman.
Results,
I just need somebody to tell me what has worked.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with something and there's no medication for it. There's no medication for celiac disease.
Right.
I got a paper about celiac disease, basically telling me like how it works, what to avoid, and then I was sent on my way. I wasn't given instructions about how to heal my body. I wasn't given instructions on like any medications that help. I wasn't given it nothing.
We don't have pharmacy drugs to treat you, so bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, they're working on it. They're totally working on it, and I'm thankful that they're working on it.
But I feel like something like that is not going to be, it can't be fixed though.
I mean,
with
if they
just
can
drugs.
I don't know.
How could they though? Because it's autoimmune.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry. Like,
you're just gonna deal with it. Yeah.
You just have to do the best that you can and like learn about it and be healthy because your body. I mean, there's no getting away from it now.
No. It is what it is. It is what it is. But all right, let's wrap it up here. I think this is a good spot. Hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. Before you go, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel so when new videos come up, and hit that notification bell. And then if you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure that you subscribe and then go all the way down and leave us a 5-star review and 5-star rating it's called. And then leave us a review. Make sure that you follow us if you're listening on Spotify. Anywhere else, hit that subscribe button. Keep listening. We're going to have more podcasts to come. Thank you all. Love you. Bye.